Hello and welcome back to Cooking with Suzanne. I'd like to make a really fun appetizer today using these beautiful tomatoes, and we're going to use them two ways. We're first going to make a delicious tomato sauce, and then we're going to serve it with a tomato salad. So the first thing we want to do is start on our tomato sauce. All you need, very few ingredients. All you need is 1 small onion. You need 4 cloves of garlic, and the onion I diced nice and finely, and I minced the garlic. So 1 small onion finely diced, 4 cloves of garlic very finely minced. I have 1 cup of white wine, and we're going to have some chili flakes and a little bit of paprika that's going to go in it. And in regard to the tomatoes, we need 2 pounds of tomatoes. And it was 3 large tomatoes this size that we are going to be using for the sauce. So the first thing you want to do is put a little bit of olive oil in your pan, about 2 tablespoons. I have my saute pan already on low. I can raise it a little bit. And I also have a smaller saute pan heating up on very, very low as well, because we're going to add just a little bit of a spicy Italian sausage to it. 4 ounces, which is about 1 nice sized link. And I just cut it straight down the center and remove the casing. So we will saute the sausage while the onions are sweating. So let's put our onions in first. And we want to sweat the onions for about 5 minutes. So since we're sweating and not caramelizing, we can add a little bit of salt right away. So I have some kosher salt here, and I'm just going to put a pinch of kosher salt over the onions. We'll let those sweat on medium heat, medium to medium low, for about 4 or 5 minutes, and then we can add our garlic. In the meantime, let's add a little bit of oil to our other small saute pan. I'll raise the heat. And the thing with the sausage is that we don't want to brown it. We just want to cook it through lightly and then remove it and put it on this tray with paper towel. But we don't want to get it hard or caramelized in any way. So the first thing I'd like to do is add just a little bit of white wine to the sausage so that it breaks up very nicely. So the total recipe calls for 1 cup of white wine, and we're just going to put a couple of tablespoons of wine in here to our sausage, just to loosen it up a little bit. And then we can saute at very, very low heat. You're not looking to brown this. It's going to almost be kind of milky white. And then we're going to add this to our tomato sauce. Okay, it feels nice and loose. And so in regard to the tomatoes, here I already have 2 tomatoes grated already, so we just have to finish with this one last tomato. And what you need is just one of these old-fashioned graters. Let's just push this aside. You can leave the skin on, and on the large hole grater, you just want to grate your tomato until you get to the skin. This is very easy to do. Make sure you get all the pulp. So there is our skin. That's all there's a little bit of pulp here. Let's get that. And then we can just discard the skin. Okay, I think I can put the sausage in now. And just keep this really low. And we just want to cook this very slowly until the sausage is somewhat cooked. You can see they're not caramelizing, they're just starting to become translucent. This is a quick sauce too, by the way. This only takes about 30 minutes to cook. And there's your onions. So I think we can add our garlic now. And just stir that in and let that cook for another minute or two. Hopefully you can hear that there's no sizzling going on here with the sausage. Okay? We're just cooking it just a little bit. There you go. And I think that's actually done. So that only took a few minutes, and you just want to put it on a tray lined with paper towel just to absorb any extra fat. While I'm over here, let's add our chili flakes. I'm going to, with 2 pounds of tomatoes, going to go with 1/4 teaspoon. You want a little bit of spicy heat, and then the paprika, just about 1/8 teaspoon. You just want a pinch of it. I also will throw in a little bit of black pepper. And oh, I can smell that. It smells really good. So I just have another half that I want to grate. This is going to be added to our onions. And we will season it with a little more salt for the tomatoes. And we will let this cook for 30 minutes. Okay, and there is our skin. Remove that. And here, whoops, here we have all of our tomato pulp. All right, let's take a look at these onions. They look great. They smell good. I'm going to turn the heat up now. So now we can go ahead and add our tomato pulp and the juice. If you feel that your tomatoes have a little too much acidity and you want to soften it up, you can always add just a pinch of sugar to your sauce if you feel that you need that. All right. We'll stir this, and when it's all come to a boil, I will lower it and set a 30-minute timer. We'll just let this simmer. Okay, I'm just going to put on another glove. And I just want to make sure that the sausage is nice and fine. This you want super, super tiny. You want it to almost melt into the tomato sauce once it goes in. Okay, this is boiling. So let's just simmer that. And we will let that go for 30 minutes. So I'm just breaking this up so that it's super fine. By the way, this sauce would be wonderful with pasta. It would also be wonderful with some grilled vegetables on top of your sliced tomatoes. I'm going to come around. So hopefully you can see that. It's super, super fine. You don't want any large chunks. Okay. Okay, so I made a little boo-boo here, and I need to correct it. I forgot to add my wine in with the onions and garlic and spices before we put our tomatoes in. So the best way to correct it, don't add the wine to the tomatoes, because you will never get rid of the alcohol, which is very important to do. So I have a little bit of finely diced onion here, just a couple of tablespoons. I'm going to cook it in the fat that I cooked the sausage in. I'm going to sweat this and add the wine to these onions. Let it cook all the way down until the wine is evaporated, and then add it to our tomato sauce. Otherwise, if you did do this, as I have done, you definitely don't want to put it in because you will never get rid of the alcohol flavor. Okay, I hear the fat sizzling, and I'm just using the fat that was in the pan. So let's put the onions in. And add a pinch of salt to the onions and turn the heat down to low. And we will let these sweat. I'm going to just grab a pinch of salt. So much for making mistakes, but we do make mistakes, and this is certainly the way to correct it. Okay, so let's talk about our salad. We have some crab meat here and some beautiful herbs. And we have some finely minced shallots. And we're going to make a little crab salad. So in regard to the herbs, you can use whatever is coming out of your garden that you think will go really well. Here I have a combination of chives, parsley, and tarragon. If I had chervil coming out, I would certainly use that. I think that this is a really good combination for the crab meat, but whatever you happen to like. Okay, let me grab a bowl, and this is super easy. We have some beautiful crab meat here. And this is 1 pound of blue crab that I have here. I'll come around because the light shines on it and then you can't honestly see it. Okay, so that's 1 pound, oops, there's one beautiful piece for me. 1 pound of blue crab. And I'm just going to make enough for 2 people. So I'm going to take maybe, I would say, maybe 1/3 of it and put it in the bowl. This should be plenty. And the rest of the crab I can do something else with. Crab cakes, added to corn chowder would be great. Okay, and we will take a good spoonful of these very finely minced shallot. This is just 1 shallot here for a whole pound. So you'd want to put about a good teaspoon in. And I have tarragon, parsley, and chives. So I would do a good couple of teaspoons of the fresh herbs. And we can use white pepper here, but you could also use black pepper as well. I have some white pepper that I just ground recently, so it's nice and fresh. And a little bit of kosher salt. And I'm going to put in a nice little squeeze of lemon juice, fresh lemon juice. Give that a good stir. Oh, that looks very good. Okay, just break off a piece and taste it. Boy, is that delicious. Okay, so I'm going to raise the heat to high. So, had I not made the boo-boo, when I was sweating the onions and the garlic, I would have raised the heat, added my white wine, and brought that to a boil until all of the wine was reduced. And then go ahead and add your tomatoes. Okay? I also have a nice large sprig of basil, and you can leave the stem right on. Actually, you want to. And you can add this to your tomato sauce because this we're going to just remove. So let me just go ahead and put this in now. we will remove that. As soon as you put your tomatoes in, that is when you would want to put your basil leaf in. Okay, and we have a little flame going on here. I do this all the time. No, I really don't. I'm not a big fan of doing that. But it's because there's a lot of alcohol in a very small can. So I don't have to do too much there. It's doing its own thing. But that's great because you definitely want to get rid of all the alcohol. And you don't need to shake it, you don't need to touch the pan. If it does flame up, which with a larger pan that probably would not have happened. But just don't touch it, just let all the alcohol evaporate, okay? Now let's talk about our tomatoes. I have 2 different ones. You can also use cherry tomatoes, which would really be pretty here too. And I'm going to go ahead. You can use a nice sharp knife or you can use a serrated knife. Here I'm going to just use my electric knife. You can have anywhere from 2 to 3 slices per person. And we are going to season the tomatoes, so you want to be able to lay them out so that they can be seasoned. And now we can season our tomatoes with salt and pepper. You just want to season high so that you can watch what you're doing. You can actually see where the salt is going. All right. Okay. So all of the liquid, all of the wine is totally evaporated. It's absorbed in the onion. So now we can take this beautiful onion and put it right into our sauce. There we go. Our crab meat is ready. Our tomatoes are ready. And that is the entire dish. It could not be any easier. Okay, so our tomato sauce is complete, ready to go, and we are ready to plate. So I have a nice shallow bowl here because the sauce will run a little bit and you want to be able to keep it somewhat contained. So put your tomato sauce right in the center of your bowl. We're going to make this more of an entree portion as opposed to an appetizer. So you can be pretty generous here. And so we have our tomato sauce on the bottom. And now we can do 3 slices of tomato. We'll do yellow and red. We can tuck in a yellow one right around here. Tuck in another yellow over here. That looks really good. And then maybe take some fresh herbs and go around your plate, right into the broth. And then top with our beautiful crab meat. I like to keep the edges clean. Okay. And now let's get our crab meat here on, right in the center. So it's up to you how much crab you want to serve per person. You could either take that pound of crab meat and either make it enough for 4 people or you can make it enough for 8 people. Okay, this looks Gorgeous. Now let me grab some fleur de sel. I always love to finish it with a little bit of fleur de sel. Right on the top. So I do have a little bit of garnishing here, and I have the fresh herbs, which is the tarragon, which you could put right on top. I also have some chives with a little bit of a bud on them, which could also look very pretty. Okay, so here is a very, very nice appetizer. So I will come forward. Hopefully you'll be able to see the dish well. It is really delicious. There you go. That is tomatoes two ways. Tomato sauce with a tomato and crab salad. And what do you think would be great in regard to a wine pairing here? It's pretty complex with the tomato sauce and the sausage, and then we have the sweet crab on top. This one is a tricky one for sure. Okay, thanks very much. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. Bye now.